which was definitely a fun place. And that was also, I'm trying to think, what was the year that actually, you know what, that was 2000 also, because that was the year that the Giants played the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and we went the weekend afterward. The game was the weekend afterward, and we went into. Apparently, I go to gentlemen's clubs. I think a little too much more than I actually anticipated. We went to Mons Venus. Have you ever heard of Mons Venus? The infamous Mons Venus down in Tampa, where a number of NFL guys got caught down there. It was a big whole scandal. So we went down there, which was.
I'm sorry, Katie. I'm not a dirty, filthy degenerate, so I'm not familiar with these places.
So, I definitely recommend. We had the guys from We Bleed Blue on, and they have their own road trips, which I definitely recommend if anybody has the opportunity to go with those guys. I know that those have been, I haven't gone on one myself, but I know that those are fun. But, I can't recommend it, any more that the people listening, a bunch of girls, bunch of guys, whoever, get together and go on one of these trips. It's just so much fun. Going to the games, going to the bars afterward, especially around the arena, because, you meet up with, other Ranger fans who are there. You meet up with fans of the teams that they're playing wherever you are. And for the most part, the other fans are pretty good if you're not a complete jackass, and, where you're not having them want to kick your ass. You're able to, have a good time with the fans of the other teams. And so, the road trips are such, a fun part of the experience of being
especially
a hockey fan. Win. Well, yeah, absolutely. And for the most part on the trips that I've gone to, except for the one that we'll talk about that the two of us went to, the Rangers have won, I think, almost all the games that I had gone to, except for, I think, maybe the Capitals game I went to. No, actually, they won that game too. So, I have a pretty good record going to these games, and that definitely makes it, a lot more fun.
Yeah, no, they're a blast. I've done a few of them myself over the years. Not so much recently, but when you're young and single and stuff like that, and that's all you're doing, man. You're hanging out with the boys and drinking and partying, and then, like I said, back in the early '90s, forget about it. It was so much fun. Especially when Mess gets here and the team starts, turning things around and things starts picking up. And it was just like, when you think of all the rosters back then and the buzz that was building, it was great. I've been to Philly. One of my great memories. It had to be 90. It might have been even 94. That season, 93, 94.
Was that the Spectrum still?
Yeah, I went to see him at the Spectrum, and Kovalev scored in overtime. And I remember it was me and my buddy Ray and Cyrus, the three of us, and my buddy Jimmy might have went with us too. And we did. It was that whole. I don't like Philadelphia. I don't think it's much of a town. No disrespect to everybody, but that's what But we got in the car, drove up there, went in there. We got in and out safely. But man, when Alex scored that goal, and like I said, we were. The Flyer. It was getting rough, and if you've been to the Garden, whenever the Rangers and Flyers. That rivalry is unbelievable, the fan base and so on and so forth. But we eventually got out of our seats. It went into overtime. Anyway, Alex scored, and forget about it. We were just, when you're walking out of the arena, there's nothing like it in the world when you're wearing the team jersey. The home fan base is just hating on you and everything else. And by the third period overtime, you've got a few in you. You're fearless. And it's just the greatest thing. But that's one of my favorite memories just because of winning that game and Alex scoring. It was just amazing and stuff. Been up to Boston for a couple. A lot of fun. When I lived in Colorado, Rangers came out there for a couple of games. And I had buddies of mine and their wives and stuff. They came out, and I hosted them. And we got tickets to the Ranger games, and we went to see them. I got pictures of us in '96 there. With all in our Ranger jersey. And that used to be great going into, it was McNichols Arena back then. And those were great Colorado teams, too, with Sakic and Foote and Forsberg and Patrick Roy and all that other stuff. So it was just incredible stuff. One of my favorite road trips to ever go on was back in the day when the Whalers were around. It was an easy trip, but there was nothing like going to see the Whale. A lot of fun there. An hour or two drive up to Hartford, a hotel room. This is all based around alcohol and drinking and partying, and it was a wild karaoke night one night. But love that trip. That's one that stands out so much. And then the one we're going to talk about now too, is this one winter in '93. The Rangers were playing Buffalo on a Friday, and the next night they were playing the Maple Leafs. Do you remember who put that trip together for you guys?
Well, my buddy, so I was 16. I was actually in 11th grade. And my buddy, it was going to be four of us. It was three of us who were in 11th grade, and one of my friend's older brothers who was 21, and he was going to be the chaperone. So a 21-year-old and three 16-year-olds. And the trip we were going on was run by the New York Rangers fan club. So I guess they would do trips every year. So my buddy was setting it up and asked if we wanted to go. And whatever the fee was, it was for tickets, hotel, and bus. Somehow, some way, my wife to this day cannot believe that my parents allowed me to do this. So I'm 16.
Yeah.
And I'm getting on a bus to go to Buffalo and Toronto, and the person in charge of us is a 21-year-old.
And I'm sorry, how many of you guys went up?
So one of the guys ended up not going, so it was three of us. So it ended up being, again, a 21-year-old and two 16-year-olds. A guy was in my homeroom.
With the Ranger fan club. With the Ranger fan club.
All Ranger fans.
So how many people total were on the trip? How many total people were on the trip?
I'm going to be honest. It was probably, it was a full coach bus because we bussed up there. So it was a full bus. So what do you get in a bus? One of those buses, like 50?
Yeah, okay.
Something along those lines, whatever it is, 35, 50, along those lines. So that was the group, that was going up there. We had to take the train from Long Island into Madison Square Garden. We had to get there at like 5 a.m, to get on the bus, to get all the way up to Buffalo. So what was the game? The game was on a Friday night, I think.
Yeah.
Or was it Friday night? I'm looking now.
Friday. It was. They were both night games.
Okay, so we got there the night before. So the evening before. So we got there Thursday. We left on a Thursday. Got there at night, and then the game was the next day. So we went with the Ranger fan club trip. So it must have been like 35 to 50 people, I would say. So it was a large group.
That's a crew. There's no doubt about it. And then, and you guys obviously, how did you guys split up the 2 nights? Did you stayed in a hotel in Buffalo, and then how were the 2 nights spread out? And did you guys have plans for the daytime? What was the story?
Yeah, the fan club set the whole thing up. So, they gave you like an itinerary of everything that they were doing. So we got there that night. I think we went out to like a wing place or something in Buffalo. Shocking. And then everybody tried to pile in. Everybody piled into the, hotel lobby bar. I'm 16. And, everybody went into the bar. Actually, what's funny is on the way up. So we get on the bus, whatever time we left the garden, and we're heading up on the New York Thruway. And as soon as we got on the highway, we got off and we went right to a beer distributor. So again, I'm 16. And so all these guys are getting off, and we're on the bus with, 20-year-olds, 30-year-old, 40, 50, 60-year-old, it's all age groups on there. So they look at us and they're like, what do you guys want? We're like, really? They're like, yeah, we'll get you whatever they want. My buddy's brother was there too, but we gave them all money, and they went in and got all these beers, and we drank the entire way up just to show you what was going on. There was no chaperoning going on. I don't even know how this fan club allowed 16-year-olds on the trip with a 21-year-old watching it, and then they're feeding us alcohol the entire way up. And I remember, just because, and I still have the same problem now. I have a bladder the size of a peanut. So, we're drinking on the bus on the way up. I must have went to the bathroom like 100 times, and they were all making fun of me the whole way up that I kept going to the bathroom every 5 minutes. But And again, so we're up there and everybody's at the bar, and I try to sneak into like the hotel bar. I didn't get in. My buddy somehow got in. He had a fake ID, and they allowed him in. So I actually ended up just going up to my room that night, and then the next day. It was a while ago, so I don't remember everything we did, but we must have went out to lunch or whatever we did in Buffalo. I don't think there's much to do in Buffalo. Um, and then that night we went to the old Ord. I mean, that's one of the things that I can look back on, on that trip and say that I went to the old Ord. And obviously the second part of that trip was the old Maple Leafs Gardens.
Yep.
Which, it was such a small little, arena there, up in Toronto. And again, I was so young, 16 and trying to remember, being there. It was just such amazing experience to sort of be in that sort of hockey history, and then the city alone of Toronto, and if we want to get into, I don't want to get too far ahead of it. I guess we'll stay in Buffalo for now. The game itself, was back in, like you said, was 93. So, the Giants had beaten Buffalo. I guess it was the year before, in the Super Bowl with the Norwood wide right.
Yep.
And I remember during the game, the Rangers went up. What did they go up, Paul? They went up like 2-0 or something in the first period, or it's 3-1 in the first period. So we were all feeling good, and we started chanting Norwood wide right. The whole fan club, our whole section. I'm telling you, Paulie, people started running up to our section, throwing fists at our group. And again, I'm 16. I'm like, oh my God, there's like melees breaking out of, Buffalo Sabres fans, who are obviously also Bills fans, just irate because we're chanting Norwood wide right, in our section. It was insane. The Rangers, unfortunately, end up blowing the game, and they lost. I mean, that was back again, 93. That was a miserable year for the Rangers. They won the President's Trophy the year before. They were supposed to have this great season in 93. Actually, the 2 games we went to, I was looking it up. Messier didn't play because he was injured. They freaking lost the game. So yeah, I mean that's what I remember up in Buffalo, from at least for that portion of the trip. And Paulie, apparently you were up there, but not as part of the Ranger fan club trip, which makes this story, by the way, even crazier.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. Well, absolutely, Buffalo is very cool. We flew up, okay? So we were older. So I'm 93, I'm 23. So me and my guys were all 23, 24, whatever the heck it was. And so the reason we were going up, we saw it on the calendar to go up there and to go see the 2 games, obviously, back-to-back. And the game plan was, and this is what we did. We flew into Buffalo, stayed the night, and then we rented a car and then drove up to Toronto. And then we did the exact opposite coming back, and we flew home from Buffalo to get home. So our reason to go up there that weekend was to also go see the Hockey Hall of Fame, okay, because we're all big hockey fans, diehards. We're going to go up there. So first things first, we go up there, and I'm pretty sure I was trying to find the schedule to see if the Rangers had played on Wednesday the night, before that Thursday, before the trip, because it was either on the way up there, and I wish I had my buddy Ray next to me. I was texting him earlier, I can't get it. So it was either the way up there, or it was Sunday coming back, and we flew back. But remember, JD and Sam, JD was working the TV back then, and John Delapina was working for the Daily News. He was beat writer for the Rangers and everything else, and now he's he's in the pretty sure Delapina, he's in the NHL now. He's one of the execs or whatever. Anyway, they were all on the plane with us, and they were all hungover as hell. I'll never forget it. And the thing we were laughing about, too, was JD was up in first class, and Sam and the rest of the guys went back and coach. And we were just kind of like quietly making fun of it. But we had seen all these guys getting out of the plane. We flew U.S. Air, whatever the heck it was. So that was the start of the trip. And, we're drinking on the plane and everything else, and we're getting a kick out of the fact that these guys are on the plane with us and everything else. So we get in there. So Thursday night, it was just nuts cold. We'd never been to Buffalo before. It was just incredible. I don't know how people live there. and